Hilary's journey started in a small town in California, where she's originally from. But it was one life-changing experience at the age of 13 that shifted everything. From spiritual awakenings to the fast-paced world of Warner Brothers, she's lived a colorful life. And now, after 25 years in Marbella, she's the director of Boho Wellness, as well as an osteopath and cranial sacral therapist, helping others reconnect and heal. Trust me, you don't want to miss her story.
And I just remember her words that night really touched me as a teenager.
Do you remember what the message was?
Yeah, I mean the message in general, and the practice is called Siddha Yoga, is, see God in each other, basically, and God can be any higher power. I really was impressed by Hollywood and the whole area, because if you were good at your job, you could always make your way up, and people liked you. And
but you didn't see it as your career.
I didn't see it as my career. I wasn't passionate about it. And one of the producers actually said, "Hilary, what are you doing here?" And I was a bit offended, And she really was right.
This episode is sponsored by Wellness by Boho, a holistic sanctuary at Boho Club offering yoga, energy therapies, and next generation treatments for mind, body, and soul.
Hello, everyone. Here we are back in Marbella live with the beautiful Hilary in this stunning setting in Boho Hotel, which is called Boho Wellness. It's a beautiful new sanctuary that they built here, and I feel like it's very unknown and it's a little hidden secret, but we're trying to shine a bit of light and show what they do here. But of course, we'll be talking to Hilary and finding out who is Hilary today, because I feel like I've known you for years and I kind of know what you do, but now you have this new position here, and your background is so interesting. So yeah, I'm excited to talk to you. So thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for your time. And so yeah, maybe just introduce yourself, tell people where you're from, what's a little bit about your background.
Okay.
Because I would have never guessed actually that you're a proper Californian girl,
Yeah, as California seems very far away now. But yeah, I was born and raised in Davis, California. My parents chose Davis because it had a very good public system for schools, and they're both teachers. Super safe, beautiful place to grow up. Have a bicycle as a mascot, so you can ride to school, to soccer, to ballet, piano, and be home for dinner that night. And
they call it the bicycle capital of the U.S., right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I had to look it up because I'm like, Davies, California. I'm like, I'm not even sure where it is. So I looked it up. It's like a tiny, quaint town, and it's like one of the top universities is in that town.
For agricultural, for viticulture, large animal vet school, which, for horses and all that was always exciting for me. And
so really like a dream little town, actually,
I now see
raised.
Where other people are raised, and I appreciate it that much more. And also having the university there, all the children that would come with their parents as professors, they were from different countries. So my classes were always full of, people of every flavor and color and country. So that was a really good education, I think, for kids. And yeah, like I said, super safe, lots of good organized sports for the kids in summer, and using the university as well for billiards or horse riding or, soccer camp. It's really, really great place to grow up.
Yeah, and now you're raising your kids in Marbella, which is like an ocean away from where you're from. Do you ever think about going back and raising your kids in America?
I don't.
Well, this could for Marbella.
I think, being in Spain and being in Europe in general, I feel really happy to be here, and I love the influence of so many cultures. And America right now is not the place I want to take my children, but I would enjoy, I enjoy visiting, going back. I think the university system might be something interesting in the future for them, but they've got a little ways to go. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
But you had, tell me also a little bit about your childhood. You had some, like a, let's say, a life-changing experience at the age of 13. What was that about, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah. I mean, growing up, I was quite the little sporty spice, definitely doing soccer or we had softball, ballet, piano, always taking advantage of that. In the teenage years, you know, things get a little bit more chaotic. And at that time, my mom got really interested in yoga, meditation, and then ended up taking me to Oakland to an ashram center in the middle of the city. And I found myself in a space where people were chanting and there was incense and everyone seemed to be fairly content in themselves. And so that part was interesting, but I definitely went in a very reluctant way. And my mother had promised me to get me home in time for the most popular girl's birthday party that afternoon that I'd finally been invited to. So I had my whole other agenda, which is what made my experience that much more of a surprise. I was in a large hall with people chanting, sitting on the floor. There was a beautiful Sanskrit music and song, and everyone is chanting, and I just closed my eyes and didn't even know I was there to see someone or someone was going to talk. And I felt something really strong in my heart and in my body, like if you were to fall in love. And I opened my eyes and saw that this Indian woman had walked in the room and really took me by surprise. And I just remember her words that night really, really touched me as a teenager.
Do you remember like what the message was?
Yeah, I mean, the message in general, and the practice is called Siddha Yoga, is, you know, see God in each other, basically, and God can be any higher power. But that night she said, you know, when you're alone and you feel like you need to call a friend or tell someone about your problems, just close your eyes and go inside and be your own best friend. And, you know, that was something new for me, because it's usually you look for your help on the outside.
Yeah, and you're trying to fit in, I guess, in that age. You want to be like the most popular girls, how they are, and dress how they want to dress. And, you know, like, we've all been teenagers.
Absolutely.
So did you tell your mom about it?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. They're like, no, I didn't like
Good
that.
for you, Mom.
It's like,
keep it up.
Yeah. So you tried to keep it to yourself, that it kind of moved you.
Yeah.
You played it cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't something, but my mom did. That was kind of her first experience as well. So she took a little bit, you know, further steps on the path, began studying, meditating, reading, and I saw a nice change in her.
What kind of change did you see when she started practicing?
Like she was less judgy or critical of me, I think, and more present and listening to who I was. And
yeah, that's a good change.
And also saw that she was more peaceful,
more content and happy. Yeah.
Yeah, so she really got into it and changed our whole house into the local center in Davis. So every Sunday we would have groups of people coming to chant the Guru Gita. And it's all in Sanskrit. It's an hour and a half. It's beautiful. You know, we talk about frequency medicine. So the words, each pronunciation, it's really important how it's pronounced. And it's in a call and response fashion. So women sing and then the men sing. And it's this beautiful dance at 5:30 in the morning.
Wow. So did you sleep in, or did you go downstairs when it happened in your house?
Well, usually we would do it in our center later, because it would be a Sunday, so maybe 9:30. And no, I was not always involved. I really didn't call the path my path until I was maybe 19.
Okay. So you went through the teenage years, like
I took my first meditation course when I was 16.
Wow, that's still very early.
Yes.
On to be like so involved in that spiritual world, let's say.
Yeah, in those days it wasn't, you know, something common to have yoga or anything like we have now. And my mom had invited some of the swamis to the house.
Mm-hmm.
So we had swamis in our house, and that's when I took the meditation course with them.
But what did your friends think about, like you and your mom? Did they think like? And then let's wait until that finishes, no? Just in case. So, what did your friends think of you and your mom at that time? Did you think she's a little bit crazy, or did they also think like, oh, maybe could be interesting. Let's try it out. Did you invite your friends?
I definitely didn't invite my friends or really talk to them about it. And I actually, for the first time, went and started living with my father.
So
that's how much I thought it was cool. But that was a great thing because I hadn't lived with my father most of my life, even though they lived in the same town. And really got that chance as a 16-year-old to connect with him. He got really involved with helping out with my ski team and would come and judge the races, and got a big Suburban and would take me there with my team. So you never know why things happen, but in the end it was a great thing. And my mom got to explore her own path in her own space as well.
So then what happened? You got more into sports, which has also been a huge part of your life.
Yeah, I was always doing things with speed, adrenaline. I was a sprinter. Horseback riding, 3-day eventing. So that's dressage and stadium jumping and cross-country jumping.
So did you want to become an athlete at this point?
I mean, I always was. My father used to run marathons. He used to do the 100-miler.
Wow.
And that was in the Sierra Nevada between California and Nevada. And he once did it in less than 24 hours. So they gave him a belt buckle.
Wow. That's crazy.
But yeah, always lots of sports. But then with sports comes injury. And that's when I really saw the importance of going inside, visualization. In my injuries, began to see the importance of healing, of going inside, of visualizing, preparing for races, having a calm focus. And so kind of pieced different pieces together.
And then what was your next step after finishing high school?
Yeah.
That was a big change.
Well, high school, I actually ended up going to the University of Davis. I got an athletic admission there for sprinting, which was great. The team was great, and I got to go in the laboratories there and do, respiratory capacity tests and nutrition, and really got my speed up. So that was exciting, kind of being a guinea pig. And then my junior year, I did abroad. So I went to University of Madrid, the Complutense, and that was a huge change for me because I'd never lived in Europe. I'd never been to Europe. And it was a full year of learning a lot about myself. And by that time, I had City Yoga as my path, and I was able to connect with a center in the middle of Madrid. So it's kind of a home and family away from home. And it was quite special. I mean, I made friends on that because it was all the universities, Davis, Santa Barbara, Santa Cruz, LA. We all were on the same program, education abroad program. So we're still in contact, all of us, which is, a long time later.
So what was like probably the biggest thing for you, like coming from America, never been to Europe? What was like the biggest difference that you like that maybe not shocked you, but something that surprised you about the Spanish culture or the way that they live? And
I mean, first of all, my Spanish I learned from a Puerto Rican.
Okay. That must have been exciting.
Gracias was a whole new...
like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and then I thought it was gracias, and you really play with that at the beginning. But then I really loved the eating out, being in the street. You work to live rather than live to work kind of situation.
Enjoying life more.
Enjoying life.
Yeah. So
And seeing the families out on the Sunday, you know, everything closes down. Everybody stops to be with their family. And that was something that, you know, Sunday for us was, you know, you got to do all your chores and clean your room and, you know,
get ready to
something a
go
little bit
again.
different. Yeah. So that was a big change. And the language, the, you know, going out at night and everything, 20 something years old was a huge, like, wow, this is a whole different experience. But, and then the university was, you know, also different, much more of a dictation, regurgitation situation. So everyone just copies everything the teacher says, and then the exam, you just feed it back. So in the universities in California, it was always, you know, there was a discussion, there was
collaboration,
arguments, and even if the teacher wasn't in, you know, in agreement with you, you got credit for defending your side. So it was different.
So then what happened after the year in Madrid? Did you already knew maybe that maybe you could live in another country or in Europe, or were you sure that, okay, I'm just going to do this year and then go back to my hometown? And
I was ready to go home, and you know, in California, you always use language, Spanish, of course, and you know, I think that's what they say. How you make God laugh is tell him your plans.
And then it's like, okay, I'll show you.
Yeah.
But what did you?
I never wanted to have a Spanish boyfriend again, or any relationship. And
did you have a bad experience, or it was just?
I wouldn't say bad. I said, you know, it's every experience is a good experience because you learn something. But yeah, there's a little bit more. Maybe culturally a little more possessiveness, a little more macho, something like that. But you know, in the end, it's also nice to have something that's clear. And
but
I don't want to say good or bad about it.
Yeah, I just say no, like never say never, because I think when you're young, you do make these claims like, oh, I'll never, like you said, I'll never do this, I'll never do that. I used to say the same, like I'll never date in English, I'll never date in Spanish. And then I got a Spanglish boyfriend. I was like, here you go. God is like, oh yeah, you think that?
Yeah.
Here you go. So it's like, now I'm a little bit more humble about things and say never. You know, let's see what life throws at you.
You never know what's going to happen.
And yeah, you always learn something.
Yes.
So then what were your plans?
Yeah, so when I came back from Spain, at the time my major was exercise physiology, and I was looking at 2-3 more years of statistics and biosci and all these things, and I'd found my path. So I found the shortest way out of university, which was changing my major to Spanish. And I went immediately to spend time with my teacher and guru in India.
But how did you know that you found the path? Or how can you tell, like, someone maybe watching that, I'm not sure, like, especially when you're in your 20s, it's hard, like, I don't know what to study, I'm not really sure. How did you know?
No, I mean, I think that's really important, because when you're skeptical, you have questions, and then you have to have that question answered. Then that's one peg, and then the next one. So my conviction by the end, testing and asking and seeing what was real and authentic, that's when my conviction went so deep. And my experience in the meditation of, you know, at 20 years old, you know, having out-of-body experience, or really seeing how magical things can happen in life, that was, you know, that was real. That was real for me, and that's my experience.
So probably through the meditation and yoga, you really were connected to yourself. That's why you probably knew that, okay, this is the right thing to do.
And that's it. And it's not about being serious and sitting still. I mean, there's laughter, and there's dance, and there's, you know, and in sport and in studying, like, my focus was just so much better. So it really touches all the places in your life.
And so then your major is Spanish.
Yes.
And you go to India.
go to India.
Which is crazy.
And I decide that it's definitely
Not the normal path, let's say, for a 20-year-old to decide.
no, I don't think I've done anything.
This is good.
Yeah, the idea for me was just I wanted to learn more, and I didn't have at that time school or a job, and I basically went to her and I said, you know, whatever you're doing, wherever you're going, I'd like to be there if it's possible. And ended up going back home and working and earning some money in California, and then moving to the ashram that she has in upstate New York. And, you know, I would go there every summer between the university, and I used to teach the kids there rollerblading or, you know, do outdoor adventures looking for waterfalls. It's very beautiful upstate New York. If you've seen Dirty Dancing, you know how they have those bungalows?
Like the summer camp.
So all those bungalows now are that whole area abandoned, and you have, you know, Hasidic Jew camps setting up and ashrams over here. So you've got a bit of India, so it's a crazy place, but nature is just so beautiful out there. And so I ended up living there, and then we did a world tour where we went to England and Mexico and Spain, and there I got to use my language for translating in certain encounters with different people that would come and meet her. We would host meditation groups all the way up to maybe 4,000 people at the Wembley and in England. And I met a lot of people there that, you know, ended up becoming famous after they had the what's called a Shaktipat awakening. And that's when you feel the opening of your heart, which later I found out was when I was 13. That's what happened.
Wow. So so how did that experience change your life, or change, again, the way you saw things at such a young age still?
I mean, it's just really influenced every step of my life. Who I know, who I've worked with. After I did the tour with her and was living there maybe 2.5 years, I was offered a job at Warner Brothers by a director who I had also met through yoga.
Which is totally completely the other side different. Of like entertainment, from spiritual, like say, world touring with a guru to going to Warner Brothers, like
exactly,
like two opposites. But I guess it was life throwing another thing at you, like, okay, Hilary, would you like to try this?
I mean, it was a lot of duality for sure, and
but still exciting.
Definitely, well. I love the movie industry. I think, you know, we used to, as a universal community in the world, we would connect maybe with books or plays, and then now it was movies. So it's a really good means of communicating a message, I think, and a story. But at the same time, there's so much drama that happens behind the camera. Sometimes even much more that's in front of the camera. So it really made me grateful to have the tools there. Like, even if I got far away from myself, to always know to get back. And that, I think, is what makes me most grateful for this path for me.
But what movie did you work on, or who did you work with?
Well, we were in the Warner Brothers Burbank location, and we did a small little movie called Message in a Bottle.
Yeah, I remember that movie. Yeah.
That was with Kevin Costner, Robin Wright, and Paul Newman.
Yeah, I mean, great actors.
Yes.
I mean, wow. What was it like seeing them work? And I mean, you must have also learned so much.
I mean, so much discipline on the parts of, I mean, especially Paul Newman. He would be there with his New York Times ready, getting his makeup done like hours before. Very chill guy, very humble. And Robin Penn, she was amazing too. Really funny Texan girl, like really kind. And, you know, you get to know people with their families on set, and we would play football on the beach in Maine, and, you know, with Kevin Costner and his stand-in, and, you know, it was just, it was surreal.
Surreal, yeah, it sounds surreal. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
but I'm sure it's an experience. I always loved movies, and I'd love to see how a movie set actually works, and how does everything actually go down, because it's really, really interesting.
It's super exciting, and how tight logistics and everything has to be in the plan and the call sheets, and you know, it's such a good training for anything that you would do. Like it's amazing how you come together, and you know, those 3 months is just everyone's on board to make sure they get every shot and every storyboard and every, you know, special prop, and the people you meet are all artists and into it. So it's exciting. Good friends, you know, made everywhere.
That's exciting. So what happened after that experience? So you kind of, like you said, there was a bit of maybe too much drama. and a bit of a different world from the spiritual world. So did you feel like you want to continue in that world, or what happened inside of you after that experience?
Yeah, I mean, I really was impressed by Hollywood and the whole area, because if you were good at your job, you could always make your way up, and people liked you, and I think that's always great. So it didn't depend on a certain study, as you know, per se. But
you didn't see it as your career.
I didn't see it as my career. I wasn't passionate about it. And one of the producers actually said, "Hilary, you know, what are you doing here?" And I was a bit offended, you know.
What do you mean?
She's like, you love the body, you love, you know, health. You keep giving me all of these, you know, tips for my posture. Like, what do you? And so that really, really pushed me, actually. I'll never forget Miss Denise Denovi. And she really was right. So I went back to study. I wanted to study osteopathy because during my time in the ashram in New York, I had sciatica, old sports injuries, and we had a visitor who was an osteopath from England. And I had never heard of an osteopath. In California, there are more chiropractors, which work most of the bones, but an osteopath works with soft tissue, works with the organs, works with emotional state. So he literally put one hand behind my head, another one under my hips, and just all I can say is listening to my spine, something moved through my body, and I felt like my whole body clicked. And, you know, that adjustment changed, you know, my body for life. So osteopathy was something I always had in my head. And that's what I decided and told my guru at the time that that's why I wanted to study. And she was super chuffed, super happy, and supported that decision in me, even though I would be leaving the ashram. And I went back to San Francisco to study on my pre-med and all of that, because in the States you have to be a doctor to be an osteopath.
All right. So a lot more studies again to come.
Yeah. But if you know what you want to do, that's the thing.
It's a bit different.
High school, university, you have to learn math. You have to do this. You have to do your extracurriculars. But to really know where you want to go, it's exciting.
Yeah, and to be passionate about it, no? So you studied then to be an osteopath?
Yes.
And then what happened next?
So I was studying to be an osteopath, living in San Francisco. I was working at the time for a high-end landscaper. We would do beautiful gardens in San Francisco. And I went back to New York to visit my mom, who lived near the ashram still. She was working the philanthropic arm of the ashram for different programs for local kids and in India. And went to see her. And while I was visiting in the ashram, I ended up meeting my future husband.
Who was from?
Is from Spain and an osteopath.
That's crazy. But when you met him, did you have that kind of feeling? Like you said, like, you know, was it like an instant attraction, or just knowing that you were kind of meant to meet each other, or it was just...
To be honest, it was definitely instant, and I felt like I knew him forever.
From another life.
And you know, we went to someone introduced us because I was on my way to study osteopathy. He was already an osteopath, so, and from Spain, and everyone knew I'd been in Spain. So we were introduced, and yeah, it was I think we sat down for 3 hours and talked about everything but osteopathy.
Okay. And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
this could be my guy.
Yeah. So he was
And-
there on sabbatical for a year,
Mhm.
and I went back to San Francisco to do my pre-med, and he got to know my parents,
Mhm.
and they would invite him over for dinners and such, and then by the time I came back to visit them, we had him over for my birthday party, and that was our first kiss.
Oh,
So that was
so
kind of the first exciting moment for us, and so that was in '99, I think, and by September that was now in 2000. So that was April 2000, and by September 2000, we were married in New York.
Wow.
And
how old were you?
Here. I was 28.
28. But it's like, I mean, you're young, but
Yeah.
you know, not that young.
And
to
I'd been
get
single
married.
maybe 7-8 years. I was clear like what I wanted, what I didn't want, and you know, probably I wouldn't recommend what I did to anyone.
Why is that?
I think
Because you said you also kind of had that knowing, or you know, when you meet your person, it is a feeling too. It's not just about them ticking the boxes of, you know, whatever. It is a feeling, you know. Of course, obviously, when you fall in love in the beginning, it's all hormones and dopamine, but it is also a knowing that it's your person. No?
absolutely, absolutely. And you know, I knew he would be the father of my children. I knew all of that. But there's, you know, there's things that you work out. You know, having a friendship, having different things, not jumping right into a marriage, because everyone also has their stigma or their feeling of what marriage means to them.
And you come from very different backgrounds, obviously.
Very different. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, like I said, I don't regret it, but I don't recommend it. Like I like to take time. Like if I were to do it again, you know, I'd take time to get to know that person. I would feel a little more, like you know each other. We didn't know each other when we got married, and we're suddenly here married in a big house, and you know, but we got there. We got there eventually.
But then you moved to Spain, obviously.
Yeah, we moved here after the wedding.
And then settled here. So, and how did you feel about that? Were you like a bit intimidated, or, you know, you're miles away from home?
It was a big year. We married September in New York. 3 days later, we flew here. And in October, the next month, I started my studies in Sevilla for osteopathy. And my Spanish was okay, but wasn't strong. And the professor had a very thick Andalusian accent. So I was quite lost at the beginning, but it was the same school my husband had gone to. So he would help me here and there, but he was really kind of more of the attitude of throw you into the deep end and you work it out yourself. And
Which you
so I did.
What else can you do? No, you have to.
And you know, it was a big change. That first year of marriage for anyone, I think, is a big change.
And in another country and a new university, and that's a lot for someone to kind of go through.
Yeah, it was. I mean, they're a wonderful family, very welcoming. Lots of cousins, uncles. There's a lot of, you know, family here, which is always something that I was interested in and love being around. And you know, one brother is married to a Moroccan, the other was married to half Spanish, half Argentinian and Italian. So, you know, it's interesting that, you know, with 4 boys, no one chose a Spanish woman.
That's interesting.
But yeah, it was a great run, and you know, we were married for 22 years. So, you know, we got to know each other eventually and had our children together, and you know, now we're good friends, co-parenting and commiserating with our almost teenage girls. And you know, you just never know what the next corner is going to bring.
Yeah. But here you are still living in Spain, so obviously you loved it here. But what was it like 22 years ago? What has changed?
Oh.
And I mean, a lot has changed, obviously, but like, what is most importantly for you? What do you feel like?
In Marbella?
Yeah.
I mean, when I first came here, I remember first of all, there was smoking everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and it would drive me crazy. Someone was smoking in a restaurant and a baby being in a baby carriage right next to them.
They didn't
And
care.
that freaked me out. And then there was no such thing as soy milk or anything. Like, I was always asking for soy milk and that type of thing. You know, this is the year 2000. So that was a big...
So were they looking at you like you're a little bit like the crazy? Or?
Yeah, but that's kind of the good thing about being a foreigner in a different country, because people accept that, you know, that you're just different.
Yeah.
So,
she's from California, whatever.
Yeah, she doesn't know. But so I think as far as health, there was no yoga, there was no real good gyms or anything. There wasn't any healthy food places. There was Terra Sana, which was the only place that I knew about.
Yeah. So did you miss that side? Were you a bit
Absolutely.
frustrated?
Yeah. And I would just cook at home. I really like Mexican food, so there's no Mexican food here, so that was my specialty. And you know, people just going out all the time, you know, and those long lunches with the white wines, and you know, that was just totally foreign to me as an American. And when I go home and you know, if we go to lunch and I order a beer or a wine, people look at me like, and I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that is weird here.
Yeah. Here the alcohol is somehow like immersed in the culture.
Yeah.
You know, it's but again, I think the foreigners or the international community that lives here, and especially the ones that are really taking care of themselves, I see so much more movement in the non-alcoholic. Like it's a tendency not to drink anymore, or to have like other options of the kombuchas and
mocktails.
Yeah, mocktails and non-alcoholic kava, and you know, these are things I don't think even last year existed. Like this year has like been another level of health, and it's coming up and it's very, very interesting and very nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways to get distracted here in Marbella. So you have a little bit of everything. But what I have noticed, and I do love, is there is more of a healthy lifestyle in the last, I'd say 15 years. It's really when it's taken off. And, you know, the non-smoking law happened in 2011, which was the year that my first girl was born. And that was like, I was so grateful for that, because I really don't like cigarette smoke.
No, who does?
I'm quite allergic. And so, yeah, I would say that the lifestyle has been quite changed. The influx of foreigners has changed as well. It used to be mostly English and Arabs, and then we kind of had Russians and Arabs, and you know, and now we have a bit of everything, Nordics and Belgians and Swedes, and we have everything. So
yeah, it's true. You name it, and I'll you know, I've probably met all the nationalities here.
Absolutely.
It's yeah, it's lovely, and that's why it's easy to make yourself feel at home here, because, like you said, like in Madrid or in other more Spanish cities, you do feel like you're a bit of the outsider, whereas here it's just
you're just one
home.
other foreigner stuck in the melting pot of Marbella.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. But let's go back to your studies, because not only did you study osteopathy, but you studied also craniosacral therapy, which now I know what it is, but it was something that I've also never even heard or experienced. And I think until now, I don't think many people actually know what it is.
Yeah.
Or am I wrong?
Really, really lucky that that came into my life when it did, because my professor in Sevilla, it was really hard for me to learn from him, because he just came across to me as very macho and very, it just wasn't working for me as respecting someone that I felt I wanted to learn from. So when the course came up in Granada, it was something that came from actually an American institute, the Upledger Institute, and it is the study of the cranial sacral system, which is the whole fascia and matrix throughout the body, that non-elastic tissue. And it actually is like a hydraulic system where everything moves and connects, and you're working emotional, biochemical, and physical all at the same time, plus the mind. So when I learned about this course, and I went there, and I was sitting for my first time with my hands holding someone's head and feeling that pulsation of when the liquid comes up and all the little bones of the head actually expand and contract. It's when I felt like I was bringing in my meditation, my love for the body, my understanding of physiology of the body, everything at the same time. And I felt like, okay, this I can do. Like, this is something.
This is what you're meant to do, probably.
Yeah. So I did all of the courses possible, and I continue to work with that institute. They have follow-ups for somato-emotional release, for overcoming major traumas, for pediatrics, for babies. And, you know, with this work, you can work with babies 4 hours after they're born. And being born is a trauma. It's a big...
But how do you know that your baby would need that? Or
I don't think there's any baby that wouldn't need it.
Oh, right. Because obviously when you're having the baby 4 hours after, you're not thinking of, oh, should I do this therapy for my child? Or like, should it be, like you said, every baby needs it. Should you then contact a therapist for that beforehand? Or how do you even get to the babies? Like, do the parents contact you, or the midwives? Or
I work with midwives. I work with doulas. And
I had a doula for my second baby. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I loved it. I was like, why didn't I have this? Like in the first, you know, like it's if you are giving birth first time, second time, third time, get a doula. Honestly, it was the best decision I made.
I mean, they're really there to look out for you and guide you, and then also your partner, and tell him what to do and how to support you. And that education is so important. But yeah, every client that comes my way is usually word of mouth through that experience. But, you know, birthing has become something not natural anymore. You don't have gravity on your side. You're laying down, so it's more comfortable for the doctor rather than you. There's a lot of things have evolved in a hospital birth that take away from what it is to give birth. You need gravity.
Yeah.
You know,
That's why the second one I had actually in the sitting chair.
Exactly.
And it was amazing,
Yeah,
you know? And it was like, exactly. Because also I had, of course, I like studied so much more, you know, with my second, and I had the knowledge, and I was thinking also like, gosh, you know, this is not the way it's supposed to be. And that's why my first one was a lot more difficult. And I also took the doula to help and advocate for me, because it is the system also that kind of forces you the other way. So, you know, there's many aspects of it.
That's it. Or they'll use forceps. Or they'll use, now they have the vacuum. So, you know, you have all of this. You have this perfect little baby in the little studio floating in liquid, and there's no skeletal friction. There's they still have not been born into gravity and air and have to deal with that. So if you are pulling against a rubber band, it just goes with you. So when you're pulling on the tissues of a baby's body, that's gonna set things out of place naturally.
So what kind of complications can you have, let's say, from a forceps birth when you haven't had the craniosacral therapy? Like, or how would you know that maybe, you know, let's say if you had a forceps birth, would it be then, would you suggest that they come and see you with the baby? Or how would you notice that there's something kind of wrong in the body?
I mean, you really have to review their whole suction area, because the first thing they need to do is feed. So a certain, you know, usually if the baby's been pulled out, they get pulled in the back of the neck, and that can offset their whole way of latching on. It also can open up the vagus nerve, which is, you know, makes the baby feel very uncomfortable, and they might start arching their back, trying to adjust themselves. And you'll see if they've been removed with a vacuum or forceps that you can have a mark, and then, you know, that can solidify. So then you can have a different circuit in the brain, dyslexia, or, you know, problems with, you know, different information intake of any sort, basically. So everything is in place when they're born, and then things can be pulled out of place. He would always, our professor would talk about if you had a bowl full of jelly or jello and you had fruit in it, and then you threaded a thread through that, if you pull the thread, you know, it moves all of the fruit in the space of that jelly. So it's the same thing. Babies are made of jelly when they're born. So if you're pulling on that, you're going to take things out of place. The shoulder, the hips, they can have digestive problems. And literally just listening and untwisting the tissues, the baby can go back to their natural state, latch on better, sleep better, feel more comfortable in their skin. And that's just, you know, that's a better start in the world than, you know, walking around with, you can't even nurse. So, you know, you end up with a bottle in your mouth, and, you know, there's all sorts of developmental problems from that.
But what are the common issues that people come to you? Because you said also you help with kind of emotional issues. So do you see some kind of patterns or common challenges that people have?
I think we've spoken about this before. The design of our body and humans are not built to be at this level and speed, fast-paced life. You know, before, like I said, you're sending a message, giving it to the secretary, she's dictating it, typing a letter, putting that letter in the mail. 4 days later, you know, that businessman receives the letter, has it read, gives dictation, gives the answer. So that's, you know, 8 days. Now it's 8 minutes, all that has to happen. And the demand, being available, being distracted even more. So with this level of distractions and pace of life, makes it that much more important to go inside and get grounded. And that's what I love, what I'm seeing, this like age of Aquarius, where people are waking up and seeing, oh my gosh, this isn't working for me to be, you know, jet set lifestyle and going out, and, you know, it's great and it has its time and place, but also to take time and be bored or hang out and read a book. And, you know, that's such a rare thing these days.
Yeah. Well, I think we're getting more awareness about it, as you're saying, but yeah, there's still this push of this hustle culture and push, which I do think there's a time to work hard and push yourself. I do think in the 20s, you have more energy for it as well, and much more drive to, you know, like you said, you moved here, you were studying, you had marriage, no, you kept on going, but at certain age as well, I think as we get a bit older, we have to slow it down a little bit and also think, why are we hustling? What are we working for? To buy a better house, better car, or what is it that we are pushing towards?
Exactly. And I think that is the type of client that comes to me, somebody who's totally forgotten what it feels like to be at peace, totally forgotten what it feels like, a deep rest. So in the cranial sacral process, what you can do is basically an induced meditation. So that stops that cranial sacral rhythm, and it's like a reboot, like you would do to a computer. And that is just giving them a taste of that rest again that hasn't been a reference in their life for a long time.
It sounds amazing. I want that reboot.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm gonna come and see you, because it's it's fascinating. Like I said, I've never, only through you, I think I've heard about this. So I think it's a shame in a way that it hasn't been so much more, you know, talked about, or maybe it has and I've just missed it somehow.
I think it's not talked about because it is hard to describe, and it is hard to, you know,
it's still a bit of it like alternative side, I guess. Or
I mean, there is a very visual and physical reaction. So if you have the long chain of the fascia that goes all the way from your ankle to your temporal bone, if your ankle is out, sometimes you have to release the temporal bone to get to the ankle. So you have to find, where is that trauma or block in the system, and that's your starting point.
Yeah, I believe also that, you know, we need a more holistic view of the body, you know, whereas you go to a doctor, I don't know, nose doctor, okay, we'll give you something for the nose, you know, but usually something, it needs to be looked at, our body needs to be looked at as a whole, no? Instead of just like headache, a pill.
Your nutrition, your exercise, moving the body, taking time to yourself, connecting with yourself. And, you know, these days, and something that we've forgot about and are getting back to is having your community, having those people around you. And, you know, that's what they say makes people live longer now, is having your people around you, your village. And, you know, that's something I've missed here, you know, raising my children, but being an expat or being here, you know, you find your crew and your family little by little. So
yeah, it's true. I miss my family and my cousins and my sister, and I wish we were all neighbors, and you know, we could share stories and share the kids, and yeah, this is something that I do miss. But it's true, like you said, we get to have so many amazing friends and people here who become like family. So
yeah,
there's a good and a bad, I think.
exactly.
And you are now raising teenagers, which is I mean, I can't imagine because mine are still quite small, but they do act like teenagers. But how do you teach your kids at this very sensitive age, and being also in a Marbella, which can be quite, like you said, there is some dangers here, let's say with the party life, because we do have the party side, and it's a resort. People come here for vacation and leave. And so how do you teach them, or is there any tips you can give to parents? I don't know. I mean, obviously you're very grounded, and I think, you know, you're a great example yourself. But is there anything that maybe...
I think that's the key. And, you know, I'm not always a good example. I have shown them the stressier side of myself as well. And, you know, it's just having a line of communication, and as long as they know that you're there and you're not going to judge them, or they're not going to get in trouble for doing the wrong thing. I think that's, you know, really important. But I'm still making it up as I go. I can't say that I have like some sort of, but, you know, through the path that I study, it's all about, you know, respect, and I hopefully want them to also be able to connect. And, you know, I tell them all the time, be your own best friend and be there for yourself and treat yourself that way. And I think when you have self-respect and self-confidence, then, you know, you can do anything. And I think that's you know, that's always the weakness in any human being.
And do they practice yoga or meditation sometimes with you?
I mean,
or have
with their father and me around, you know, they have it all around them.
Because I guess it's also nowadays it's much more normal, as you said. Back in the day, maybe you were thinking, oh, you're crazy. But nowadays it's very normal to see yoga even on the beach. And we just did a beautiful sound bath here. And I think it's becoming more of a norm to grow up with that. So I guess for them it's kind of normal to see it.
I mean, I don't want to push them or anything. I want them to choose it. I think it's really important. And that is like, because I also felt as a teenager a bit pushed. And that was why, you know, if someone pushes you, you resist.
Yeah.
And I think pushing would just create resistance. And I would hope that, you know, they would feel and choose a path that, you know, works for them, whatever that might be, and respect that. That, you know, it's not easy here in Marbella, because like you said, you know, the kids and what they're distracted with, and, you know, facing a phone and all these distractions that we didn't have as teenagers, and cyberbullying and all this stuff. It just makes everything, the anxiety level so much higher in the schools. And that's one of the biggest challenges in the schools, they told me, you know, is anxiety for kids. And, you know,
that shouldn't be a problem for a 10, 12, 13-year-old. But at least, I mean, in Marbella, we have at least this beautiful weather, and at least you can take them after school. You can take them to the beach, and we can, you know, we don't have to be locked inside and it's raining like it is in a lot of the countries that you're more stuck to the TV. Here, my kids, honestly, they come from school, they run outside to the garden, and, you know, we go to the pool. So I'm really blessed and grateful for that, at least, that we can be so much outdoors.
That's what I love about Marbella.
Yeah, because otherwise, you know, I remember being back home, I was watching quite a lot of TV because, you know, what are you gonna do? I'm not gonna go run outside if it's raining and it's dark, you know. It's so true. So I think this is one of the very big positives of raising your kids here.
Yeah, and having sports, you know, they
Yeah.
play tennis and
Have all the options here.
yeah, you've
Yeah.
got dance classes, you know, kids, because we're all foreigners and we're used to, you know, different services and programs for kids too. I think that that's been a great influence for Marbella and
Yeah.
making businesses and alternative art classes and dance for these little ones, and, you know, martial arts, whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, my school has extracurricular activities straight after the school. So I don't even have to go and pick them up and drive them somewhere.
Exactly.
And they offer also yoga and cooking classes and arts and crafts and like acrobatics. So I'm really, 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 really happy that we have these opportunities here. And let's talk about also Boho. So how did you find your way to Boho? And tell me about this beautiful new wellness sanctuary.
So lucky. I mean, I originally came here interviewing for a position as a therapist because
you've had your own practice for so many years now.
Practicing for several years, and but I was really looking to collaborate and be part of something. I missed that piece, and you know, like we were saying, it's nice to work on your own, but then, you know, it's also nice to have a sounding board and work as a team, because I can be an expert in my field, but, you know, here we have a team that everyone's a professional in their arena. So, yeah, first I came for that, and then I was here doing the Wellness Wednesday talks about osteopathy and cranial sacral, and got to know Xenia, the manager here, who's just amazing. And then I heard through another friend of mine that they were looking for a director for the Boho Wellness program. And I've done, you know, we didn't talk about it, but I did lots of, you know, consulting for different spas. I got to collaborate with La Donaira in Ronda, which was really fun.
Yeah, you've done so many things. It's
create like a pig barn into a massage shack, and so
you've been like a consultant for businesses, basically. No?
Yeah, more it's like the creative side of it, and then having great people to execute and make it happen. So when this opportunity came up through a friend, I met the owner, and I mean, it's the first interview I've ever had where there was immediate synchronicity. He was like, when can you start? And, you know, given my fitness, holistic lifestyle, meditation, and then my practice as an osteopath, it was just a total perfect fit for me. And then we have all the skincare, which I also worked for Dermalogica when they launched in the beginning of 2003 here. So about education and the skin, and, you know, Chinese medicine, reading the face, and knowing what happens in the body. It's kind of like, you know, reflexology, but of the face. So there's lots of different pieces that I get to integrate here. And then I met with this amazing team. I mean, we've got the best facialists and skincare therapists. And Laura does, besides that, and beautiful massages, we always integrate breathing before and after, even a facial, so that people are really getting the full experience of their body, taking a moment. We've got the healing beds, which for me,
I love the healing beds.
This is a machine, but it's amazing,
no, it's amazing.
Right?
It's something that I've never even seen in my life before, or never tried, and I was like, wow, you have these amazing beds here. Incredible.
Yeah,
incredible.
So yeah, that's a biofrequency. So that works with sound and vibration, and then we have the other one which has the water and light therapy. So I like to put people there first to kind of park their phone, begin, and, you know, you're taking away certain senses. So you're putting the eye pillow on to get rid of sight, the headphones so that you're completely isolated from the outside world, sometimes a blanket so you feel like you're going inside, and then you go on your journey of, you know, meditation or relaxation or music or breathing. So there's different programs on the beds. So from there, we also have the biohacking circuit, which we love, the water house. And in that special place, we have the far infrared sun, which is so powerful. And I'm so excited we have it here.
And I think you're one of the few places, or if not the only place in Marbella who has that.
Yeah, I think
right?
commercially, yes. There's people that have it privately in their
Yeah.
homes, but yeah.
But I love that sauna, and I'm I'm thankful that you brought it here,
Yeah,
because I can't really take a lot of heat, even though I come from a Nordic country. We have a lot of sauna culture, but for me, like the 80 degrees, it's just, I can only stand it for a few minutes. I'm not such a heat person, whereas in the infrared, you can be in around 40 degrees, I think, no, 45,
Yeah.
and you just sweat like never before. So I used to use it so much. And yeah, I've been really missing that in Marbella, so I'm really happy that you brought it.
It's great, because really just a sauna, and why it can only last a certain amount is because it's just heating the surface of the skin. So with the far infrared lights, you're working with these long light waves that penetrate at a cellular level. So you sweat even more because it's releasing so much more. You have you're releasing old medication if you've had some sort of plastic surgery or any type of surgery. Heavy metals, any toxins that you would have in your body, you're sweating it out, and it really is amazing the difference you feel.
Yeah.
I think everyone should be there at least 3 times a week. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And then from there we have the stainless steel brass monkey ice bath. So it's there's no ice in it, but we do keep it at 5 degrees Celsius, which is very, very cold. And in our studies and research, we also see that women wouldn't need to use a higher temperature because our reaction to shock is a little bit different, and our tolerance for pain is much greater.
Yeah.
So so we are adjusting that for the women, but we always have a guided breath work preparation before they get into the ice bath. We have someone supervising in case anything may happen. But yeah, people are really enjoying it.
Really, yeah. I mean, it's like the thing now, isn't it? Cold baths is the thing.
It's exhilarating.
It's like if you're not doing it, you're like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, what, you haven't heard about this? Ice? Yeah. I mean, you think about it. That's how we were designed, to be bathing in a cold river, getting exercise in the morning, moving. It's, that's the design.
And then you also have a tiny, well, not so tiny, but an outdoor gym. Which I think a lot of people don't know. And you offer also membership, so you can come to the gym and use the facilities. And it is like a sanctuary feeling, or like a little village of wellness, if you can call it like that. It's very...
That's perfect. A village of wellness.
Yeah, it's very cute because it is like a little bit away from the main entrance. So maybe you wouldn't notice it, but as you come through the pathway, it's like a whole little nice courtyard. I've been to the yoga here in the morning. It's like really relaxing. Nice
we offer
energy.
Yoga, we have the functional training, breath work, and now we're integrating more of the sound bath as well. There's so many studies these days about frequency. I mean, we have our phone, which is one frequency, and so we have to counterbalance that with a different one. But yeah, I'm really excited about the gym too, because I'm not an gym indoor person. I'd much rather be on the beach or outside. But functional training, core training is also, that will strengthen you emotionally. When you're physically strong, emotionally you're strong, and that's what they've been saying lately as well, is if we could make a capsule of all the good endorphins and chemical changes that happen in the body with exercise, no one would be depressed. We just pop a pill of exercise hormones.
Get moving. But here you see that a lot in Marbella. Even like the 70, 80-year-olds, you see them running on the paseo. I love that healthy lifestyle that we have here. It's incredible to see older people working out in my gym as well, and I see it especially outdoors. I love when you see the older people walking and running. It's great. And you get the D and you get D vitamin as well while you're doing it. So it's like double benefits.
Absolutely.
And let's talk also briefly about Marbella, because you've lived here such a long time. I'm sure you have like some amazing places that you go to, and don't name them all because I will list them in my blog, but maybe you just name a few of the places that you love to go.
Are you talking about food or
everything?
Resorts? Or
Some maybe you have some secret places or some and some favorite places to eat out.
Go to every time my family or someone comes here in Old Town is Casanis. Guy, the owner, we had a connection when I first moved here because he did his restauranteering and training from the age of 18 in San Francisco. And
Wow.
me being from San Francisco, I was like, oh, like this connection. And it's just a really sweet place, and the
so romantic.
And to get there, you have to walk in. So almost anything in Old Town, you know, Boca Road, or, you know, the more local places.
And some of your favorite beaches, maybe, or?
I love Salduna, but they're seasonal.
Mm-hmm.
I go to Sonora Beach as well on that side. And, you know, classic birthday parties and families. And when the beaches get a little bit nicer, I would go to Dolce Vida, which is in Bounty Beach.
I don't think I know.
Or Bounty Beach.
Ah, yes.
So
it's the old Bounty.
Yeah.
Beach. I used to go to Bounty Beach, but I didn't know they changed. But I love that.
There's a volleyball courts there as well, so you can have pickup games.
And a little bit further from that, there's like actually this huge kids park that they've done, which is amazing. Like half of it is on the sand, half of it is upstairs, and then you can even park there. Incredible. Like, well done, Marbella Town Hall, for doing that. It's incredible.
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, it's super nice. Just a little bit of, really near the arch, just past the arch, like on the right side. Yeah. But I think they've just done it really this winter, maybe.
Yeah.
So you haven't really gone, and you don't have such, you know, young
kids
kids anymore. Yeah, mine still love the parks.
We were always looking for parks,
Yeah,
picnics.
I'm always like, where's their new park? Show me.
My
a new
classic
park.
was just opening the back of the car. You know, it's like a station wagon, and then I would, you know, have the picnic there with the girls after school on the beach, kind of thing.
Yeah, my kids love a picnic. When I say we're having a picnic, I said in our garden. Oh yeah, whatever, like wherever. The picnic is like the thing.
What else? Oh, Aventura Amazonia. The girls love that. Oh my gosh! Every birthday party we have there, because you have the, you know, the zip lines and the adventure, and you're in this shady, beautiful pine groves, and
so you're like in the jungle.
Birthday party, we end up. That's what we just did in May with the 11-year-old. Like she's been there many times.
That's cool. But yeah, I think that's the thing. I have my kids are slightly smaller, so in probably 3 years I'll be living there probably every weekend.
Yeah, it's fun.
But is there something? I mean, you say you prefer obviously living in Spain, but is there something that you miss about America, or is there something you would bring from America to here?
My family, all of them.
So they're not thinking of relocating?
No, but that is the nice thing about living here, is you have a nice place for people to visit, you know. I'm not, you know, but I think there would be things like, mostly it would be products or services, and that's why I do like going back home and learning about new customer service ways, or foods, or, you know, especially supplements and things for children, which was always, you know, a challenge for me. I'd like to find a vitamin B lolly, because they have those all over the States.
Yeah, I'm ordering actually loads of supplements and very nice things for my kids, for my herb from the States, because they have amazing, let's say like you said, the healthy lollies, or some healthy gummy bears with echinacea and all these kind of things that I do miss kind of here. So it's true, I love their products. Some of the products they have are amazing. And I don't know, is there any last words you want to tell someone who's coming to Marbella, considering visiting or living here?
I mean,
what advice would you give?
I think it's a good time to be here. I think we are slowly going we're going in a direction where there's a little more balance. Like you said, there's a lot of party, but now there's a lot of recovery and connection. And, you know, we're doing at the end of June, we're going to do an ecstatic dance with DJs and everything in the garden, where we did the sound bath, and we have Zara and Ziza coming to DJ it and also prepare with breath work ahead of time, so you're kind of already high on yourself. And then we'll have the mocktails, and even kids can come, so you're just barefoot in the grass and dancing and moving your body. So I think that's something that's starting to catch on here new. And And then we also have the self-defense course next week, which I'm really excited about because it's such good information. And just as women being here, and there's a big influx of, you know, thieves in the summer as well. And so we have to be, you know, just conscious of, you know, how we move ourselves and where we put our handbags. And, you know, do we put our back to the wall and look out, or do we hang our bag on the back of the... So this teacher is amazing, and he knows martial arts and everything, but he literally puts all his pads on and he lets you beat him up so that you feel that in that moment that you could do it. So
yeah, it's just practical information that we should all kind of learn in school, probably, just to...
I would love that.
You know, you know, I had my handbag stolen in Estonia when I was like younger, in my 20s, I think, going home from a party or something, and they just snatched. And I mean, there was no physical, but I just, you know, I couldn't even react to it. It was just so fast, and you never know, you know, what can happen. To be honest, I've been very lucky living all these years here that I haven't had a bad incident. But I'm also quite mindful, like you said, where do you put the bag? You know, it's just like, it's common sense. But yeah, sometimes when you're on holiday, maybe you get to be a little more relaxed.
On holiday,
but you know,
elderly people get attacked a lot here, and you know, I had my handbags stolen twice in my front door of my house. So it's, you know, it's something that called my attention for some reason to hopefully offer some more tools to everyone else. But I mean, I think coming to Marbella, we finally have like really good food and a little bit better customer service finally. And and here in Boho, we have, you know, this beautiful sanctuary to have facials and breath work, and a community. You can have your membership here and go through the steam and the sauna and the ice bath and use the outdoor gym. And, you know, just, I think it's just finding your people.
Yeah, and I just love, I mean, Boho is such a unique hotel. There is no hotel, I think, that has these like nice, cute little cabins, bungalows, instead of like a huge main building. You know, like when you come here, it is like a little village. I get that, like, you know, the white little pueblos that we have, it is like that. Of course, it's so modernized and beautiful, but it still has like a very authentic vibe. And it's like a very warm, very, very cozy feeling here.
I know you never know that we're 90% full right now. No. Everyone's tucked away in the garden.
It's almost like you'll have a little apartment or a little house here. Like it's very, very, and you're on the Golden Mile, which is the best place. You cross the road and you're on the beach. So it doesn't really get much better than this.
Yeah, we want to do some more adventures, do some hiking groups, and I think that would be the one thing that I would add. There's so many beautiful places to explore, and beaches that are just little hidden places, like you said. Colmenar is a place that I go, and it's about an hour and a half hike. I stop by a venta, so my car's there for lunch afterwards. And then you go in and take a little bit of a snack and picnic, and it's this huge lagoon with cliffs to jump off of, and huge fish swimming there with you. And
you need to show me where that is.
My girls love going there, you know, and then we come back and you sit and have a lovely lunch at a venta in a pueblo, and it's
doesn't get much better than that.
Places to explore.
No, there is so many places. Honestly, I'm like, sometimes I feel like, oh, I've seen quite a few places. I'm like, no, I don't think I've even seen half of it, like locally. And
I'll have to take you.
Yeah, I'd love to. We'll have a picnic with the kids.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, thank you again for your time, and
thank you so much
for sharing your story. And I can't really wait to actually try the cranial sacral therapy and to reboot my system. I come back new.
High expectations.
Yeah. just another day in your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you. And we welcome everyone to come and try the new Boho Wellness.
Please come.
I mean, come and try the breath work, or we did the sound healing this morning. I mean, it was just, I honestly felt like I just lied down, and it was like you go into another world, and it was so relaxing. I really, honestly, I forgot like what day it is, what time it was, and who was there. It was beautiful. Really, really nice experience.
Those moments are so important to counterbalance, you know, the high pace. So, but if you receive that, then
No,
our job is done here.
It was great because I had a crazy morning. I was really tired. And, I come in, I didn't even have a coffee. And then I just lay down and got up and I was like, whoa, okay, I just really needed that. I almost feel like I need that every morning. But it was a great start of the morning. And you offer so many beautiful things here. So congratulations on this beautiful new center and then on your new position. And
thank you so much.
I can't wait to see what happens next.
Yeah, we'll have to, have you over for our next retreats and, all these beautiful programs we have for this coming year. But slowly we'll be presenting that.
Right. So thank you. And see more about Hilary and her favorite places on my website, tanasomer.com. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and the Spotify if you're listening on Spotify, because that helps us grow and make even better, more content and show you these amazing stories of the people who live here. So thank you and talk to you soon. This episode is brought to you by Sandon, a family-run furniture company with a brand new flagship store in Forum, Marbella.